Hello, welcome to the Wellness Lab podcast, where we strive to provide valuable insights, information, and some tips and stories, like today's stories from Jamie, that will give you some insights into your overall wellness and, well, lots of learnings. So today we have Jamie with us, and we will talk a bit about the topic of breaking cycles, how coming from a CRO role Jamie turned this into a personal health journey. So, without further ado, I really thank Jamie for being here today, sharing his story and all his personal learnings from a personal perspective, which is also really something that it's worth highlighting, right? Sharing that personal component into who we are today gives a lot of value to others and helps feel sometimes uh, you are human and we are all human, and that piece really helps connect with each other. So thanks, Jamie. Thanks for being here today. And well, given that we are going to talk about your professional background, some of your personal story, and how you got into this health journey, please feel free to give us an intro of yourself, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Sure. Well, first of all, Lilia, thank you very much for having me. I'm thrilled to be part of this. I've watched many of the other episodes, and it's such a great podcast, and you've had some amazing speakers. So I'm very thrilled to be here as well and to share some of the things I can. I'm Jamie. I am 52 years old. I have been through, like, we're going to talk about cycles. I've been through lots of different cycles, both on the career side and also on the physical kind of fitness aspect of it. For the most part, I've always been very active physically, starting as a kid and carrying through high school and university. In fact, I ran my very first marathon in university. I had no idea what I was doing. I just decided to give it a go because it was a challenge, and that's what I love to do, is pick something really hard and go after it. Yeah, and then I've had all sorts of ups and downs over the years. Married, I have an 18-year-old daughter. That both of them will come into the story as well, in terms of how they've been like the major part of my life, and also impacted me in a few ways. So
Amazing. Thanks for being part of this podcast audience, Jamie. And well, one of the things that is worthwhile highlighting is, and we'll discuss it as well down the road, I'm wearing a shirt that relates to what you're doing nowadays and to your story, but I can attest, like, the changes I've seen. I've been in the fitness world for a good decade, let's say. So the changes I've seen from a running perspective has made a change in what I can achieve, what I can be really focusing on and pushing myself. So really is something that I want to highlight and I really appreciate. There's always room for improvement, and I really have found it through your support. So talking about the before, like, I know there's lots of balancing life stresses, let's say the work, family, health as well. What was a tipping point for you?
good question. So let me back up before the tipping point. So um, I'm an all-in kind of person, all in on whatever challenge it is. Call it type A, call it driven, whatever you call it. So I was pretty aggressive with my career. I wanted to just succeed, and I worked hard. I wanted to succeed in my personal life as well. And there's been stumbles on both sides, obviously. But I found myself trying to kind of like rise up through the ranks corporately. And there was about 7 years of time where I just wasn't focused on myself. I was focused on my family and raising my daughter and commuting and working really long hours, and I just didn't prioritize my own health. And that never happened before. I was always into something, activities for fun, sports, rowing. Like I said, I did some halves and some full marathon. But there was a period of time of 7 years from about 2011 to 2018, 19, where I didn't do anything. I didn't take care of myself. I focused on everything else. And then my tipping point was, funny enough, on my 45th birthday, I woke up. I don't know what I had, if it was a dream, it was just one of those moments of clarity. And I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, a couple of years earlier, my dad had passed away, and I lost my mother-in-law the year before, and I lost a few people close to me. And it was just, I knew that, but there was this moment of clarity of, I need to take better care of my health. I think it was the significance of my birthday. Not that it was a big 50 or it was 45, but on that day, I woke up almost a little nervous, and I thought, this is not who I am. This is not who I want to be. And frankly, I want to be a better dad. And I think I can be a better dad if I take better care of myself. So on that day, I made a commitment, and I said, I want to, because at that point, over the last 7 or 8 years, I had gained a pretty significant amount of weight from bad habits, working too much, not eating well, not sleeping well. I gained 50 or 60 pounds, and I didn't feel the same. When my daughter, everything in my life is about my daughter, I love her, and but there were times when she's like, "Hey, Dad, you want to go to the park?" And I just thought, my first reaction was, "Oh, I'm tired," not, "Yeah, let's go to the park." So I made that commitment, and I joined a local gym. I started eating better. They put me on a couple 6-week nutrition challenges, which was trying to clean up your eating. I started running again because I had not run really much in those 7 or 8 years. And over that year and a bit, I lost that 50 or 60 pounds, and felt good, felt really, really good. So then I think it was in 2019, I ran my first marathon again after several years. And it was the Erie Marathon. And I remember finishing, and I broke down in tears. It wasn't my first marathon. I had done a few others, but it was the significance of what that meant to me to finish. And yeah, it was such a significant finish line for me because it represented everything that I'd done over the year and a half before that. So, and then from there, lots of other things happened. I know we'll get into those, but that was a tipping point. 45th birthday, I just had this moment, and from there, everything changed.
Thank you, Jamie. So, well, sorry to hear about close ones to you passing away, and things that shake us make us as well get things changed within, like from inside. No one can really make us change, so it always has to come from us, from the inside. I'm glad that there's always a chance to make things different and to improve for our loved ones. So kudos to you, because it's easy, as like parenting, you're like, okay, everything will be focused and driven towards my kids, my family, which is valid because we love them so much, right? But obviously, as they say, when you're like on a plane, first you got to take care of yourself to take care of the others. It's like really, really true. So sticking to that, being well for yourself first will help you be in position to support others and be well for your loved ones for a long time, right? So that was a great call. And then the other thing regarding the marathon, which I need to do one, that's on my bucket list. Thinking about all the things, the training, the discipline, changing habits, all those things that you do before a race, call it a marathon, a high rocks, whatever race you're doing, that's really the impact and the grinding you have to do, and what we need to be always focusing on and being proud of that journey, of that thing we put ourselves into, rather than just the outcome or the race per se, because that's just the result of what we've been doing before. So totally great things to discuss and valid. So thank you. And then going more into that running piece, the changes, and maybe like 2019 on, we got like pandemic there, and then how that probably support or made your running club, if I can call it that way, if not, correct me, part of your new life and things that you are doing to support others and as well to push yourself, right?
Yeah, that all these things were lining up and were unfolding for me, and I didn't know the bigger story at the time. So 2019, turn 45, decide I need to make a major life change, and it's going to be a permanent one. So that was well underway. Like I said, got a lot fit, a little more fit. I started eating better, started running again. In comes the pandemic, and you hear people talk about it that you go one of either way. Like you either go down the path of being a little bit more fit or the opposite. For me, it was the opportunity for not commuting anymore. And I would get 2 hours a day back. So it was more time. I was still in the mode of focused on my own health, and fitness gave me more time to start to run and to do workouts, etc. So it actually helped me significantly. Then I found myself in an online Facebook group of runners, and when we're not able to go out and run with people or join run groups for a number of months, it was a chance to get to connect with people, very similar minded, people that love to run, just kind of in a similar place, different ages, different sexes, different backgrounds, but we were all there because for the same purpose, is we wanted to be better versions of ourselves. So anyways, long story short, decided one day, like, you know what, these lockdowns are a bit crazy. Why don't some of us go out and meet for a run? So suggested that. We started our own little side group chat, and there were 8 of us that showed up for a run one day in Bronte Park, and that was just over 5 years ago. And I'll never forget telling my family. They're like, "Where are you going?" "I'm going for a run." With who? "Just people I met online." "Where are you going?" "Into the Bronte Park, into the bush." All the things that you're not supposed to do, but we did. And so we met up and we did a run, and then it became a bit of a regular thing. And more people started coming in, and we started at 8, and we, as a group, called ourselves the Traveling Circus. And the reason why we called ourselves Traveling was, again, there were 8 of us. And so the concept of it at the very beginning was I live in Oakville, I'd host the group on my favorite run around Oakville. And then we'd move to the next place in Burlington, and the person who was hosting would take us on their favorite route. Or one guy from Georgetown, we'd drive up to Georgetown and he'd take us on a route of his favorite route. And circus, just because we had a lot of laughs and fun. So hence the Traveling Circus was born. Then it became to the point where there were 25 people in this group chat, a little overwhelming. And that was when I decided, let's make this a real thing. Let's make it into a real run group. Hence comes the personality and the structure around it. And so then it just took off. Fast forward a couple of years, we just celebrated our 5th anniversary earlier this year in February. And the group has kind of blossomed. Like, we're approaching 800 people, and we have not just a group that focuses on the road. We have a group that we recently started a trail running group back a couple months ago. That's been super successful. And about 2 years ago, we started a triathlon group. And we also have another group that focuses on strength and workouts. So it's an amazing group, the Traveling Circus Running Group. We do not charge a dime. We don't make any profit. And everything that we do is just to support each other. And it's been wildly successful since we started it. So, and frankly, I've gotten way more out of that whole thing than I put into it, because it just gives me purpose. And the other admins that I work with, we do it because we love it. And it's amazing to see other people flourish. So.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for providing all the background and story behind it. So it's really interesting to learn about it, and also to know, like as you mentioned, that impact you're having in individuals going through this fitness journey. And it might not be they want to win something, but just getting back into the habit of running, being outdoors, probably enjoying, even socializing, right? Sometimes it's hard to find a group of peers that will push you to go and do something positive, right? Because when we grow up, I find sometimes we're just focused on, oh, let's go. And there's always like a drink or things that are really not helping us in the right way. So I know the social part is important, but what if we give it a spin and really focus on when we meet, why don't we go for a run? Why don't we do these things that will really create a positive impact in our health? And also the trickle effect is like you're going to push yourself because you're going to go into a triathlon, you're going to go into a race or something specific that really will be in alignment with other goals over there.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, and kudos to you for going into that pandemic, being creative, helping others, and finding as well a circle in which you find that support and keep your goals of health, of being on track, being well for your family overall. So that's really interesting and amazing. I know you've done Ironman marathons, and that's really awesome. It's not something anyone, like everyone can do it, right? So it's great. And then on that portion, from a professional side of things, I know you've been also changing as well on your focus and what you're doing. And I find the last position you're holding might go in alignment with this part of risk and health in a way. So I'll let you maybe dive more into that component.
Sure. Yeah. So my career. So listen. I grew up in Thunder Bay, Ontario, so northwestern Ontario, and I moved down to Toronto for a job back in the late '90s, a long time ago. And I've always worked in mainly financial services and specializing in risk. So my first job when I moved down to Toronto was to work for the federal government, the regulator of the bank insurance and insurance companies. Fantastic place to work. So I worked there for a number of years. Then I went into the industry. I went and worked for one of the CIBC companies. And then I came back to the regulator and worked in their operas group and helped really focus on all sorts of things, including technology and cybersecurity rules and practices across the Canadian banks, insurance companies. Really, again, you can start to see this unfolding in terms of where it was a bit all-consuming for me. Then I moved to one of the big banks, then one of the big insurance companies. So I did move around a little bit, all in progressive pursuit of my career, focusing on risk. And then recently I moved to more of an entrepreneurial brokerage firm. So that's all happening in parallel and happening too, as I said, kind of the refocus of back into health and the running group and getting myself in better shape and better spirits. A couple of months ago, an opportunity presented itself to me, which is to stay in risk, but to work for a company called Medavie. And Medavie, if you don't know of it, it's a fascinating organization. It's non-for-profit. It's across Canada, but it's headquartered in Moncton, New Brunswick. It's a group of incredible people, and Medavie has a number of businesses, one of which is Medavie Blue Cross, which is group and individual insurance, really from kind of Ontario East. And they also administer a number of programs for the federal government and agencies of the federal government in the insurance space, essentially. But they also manage business of emergency management, emergency response. So ambulances, both ground and air, for the maritime provinces in Newfoundland, Labrador, and a number of other smaller regions throughout central and western Canada. And also they are active in the space of clinics. So the opportunity presented itself, and it's a good bridge because it's still in financial services, but for me, really interested because it is in the space of health. And the ability for me to bring my background in financial services into this organization and apply it, not just in the financial services side, but also in the health, for me was a real connect the dot moment because it's become such an important part for me. And so for my career, again, those two things happening in parallel, my career and then my health journey, to have them somewhat intersect, where what I can do in a behind the scenes and support role is really help Canadians on their own health journey. And our organization is almost 10,000 people, and a lot of the time that we engage with Canadians, especially on the EMS business, is at really tough moments of their lives. And I'm not frontline, but I'm behind the scenes helping anticipate, plan for the downsides or the risks. The ability to do that to me is really, really exciting and powerful. So the fact that I can get those two streams to somewhat connect and overlap is extremely important for me. And I just feel so fortunate.
Thank you, Jamie. I find, as you said, the way they can be interconnected, it's great, and it really serves your overall goal. I think with time, we find through things we live and we go through, and those awakenings for sure help us find our purpose. And I think once you find a purpose and you're serving it, then you are fulfilled. And if that happens, then you're changing lives, you're creating impact on others. And that is huge, right? That's part of the legacy you're going to be leaving, not just, let's say, with your loved ones and close ones, but also it will expand and will go into others in your inner circle. So that's amazing. So thanks for the open conversation and sharing all those personal insights, Jamie. I really appreciate it. I've learned more about you today, and obviously I have more respect for you even now that we have talked. So I think you should be proud of yourself, and you should remind yourself about these when you have a tough day, because we all have tough days, that this change that you are doing and when you find it's hard has impacted a lot of people, and you always do. So I really appreciate all the things you do for everyone that is going into a fitness journey that might be not for a race, let's say, but sometimes it's just like that emotional support, mental or physical wellness. So before we say goodbye, is there any maybe phrase, slogan, uh, thing that you want to remind our audience to have top of mind?
Yeah, well, I would say two things. And one is just more, what is that personal satisfaction? Like, what is the thing that gives you that contentment? And I'd say happiness, but it's more, it's the thing that gives you the purpose, as you said, or the contentment. Mine has been having an impact on others. That to me is, I've learned over the years, that is the most powerful thing. And that's the thing that gives me happiness and contentment. And that carries through what I'm doing at work, what I'm doing with the Traveling Circus, and even on the coaching business. The other thing that I say that guides me through my own challenge or journey and all the crazy things that I've done, as you said, in terms of running and marathons, I've finished the 6 Sabbath. There's one saying that I heard that stuck with me, and it's, there will come a day I cannot do this. Today is not that day. And it just gives you a sense of gratefulness for what you can do today. And that's never a given. And at some point, we won't be able to do all the things we can. So make the most of what you can do today. So again, that is a saying that has really stuck with me and is means the world to me.
Thank you. That's right. Thanks, Jamie. I'll keep it as well. Top of mind. Top of mind. So one more couple of things to note. I will be sharing below in the comments all the guest info if you want to go check out the website for Flow Coaching, socials, and any contact information is below. And well, thanks, Jamie. Thanks for your time and your support. Greatly appreciated.
All right. Thanks, Lilia. Thanks for everything with your podcast too.
Thank you.